Let me tell you about a guy named Andre. Andre had one problem. He was everybody's favorite person to call. Need a ride? Call Andre. Short on rent? Andre. Car broke down? Andre. Relationship falling apart at 2 in the morning? Guess who's awake now? Andre thought this meant he was loved. It took him years to realize being needed and being valued are not the same thing. Andre was the reliable friend. He'd lend money he couldn't afford to lose, cancel plans, fix problems, and somehow, the moment he needed something, everybody became extremely busy. Phones died, schedules filled up, people suddenly discovered boundaries. Amazing timing. One Friday, Andre's car broke down. He needed a ride home. First friend? No answer. Second? Bro, I would, but I'm exhausted. Third? I already changed into pajamas. Andre stared at his phone. Because 2 weeks earlier, he drove 40 minutes at midnight to pick that same friend up from a bar. Still, he told himself, people have lives. Fair enough. Then, Andre lost his job. Now, this wasn't, can somebody pick me up? This was fear. Rent coming, bills coming, savings shrinking. He asked for help, not money, just connections. Maybe somebody knew a company hiring. He messaged people he'd helped for years. Most responded, "Damn, bro, that's crazy." Which is basically the official slogan of people who have absolutely no intention of helping you. Damn, bro, that's crazy. Thank you. My problems are solved. Then, a guy named Chris called. Chris wasn't even a close friend. They'd worked together years earlier. Chris said, "Send me your resume." Within 3 days, Chris introduced Andre to 2 hiring managers. And that confused him. The person he'd done almost nothing for was helping more than people he'd sacrificed for repeatedly. That's when Andre learned a brutal lesson. Some relationships only survive because you keep feeding them. Your money, your time, your favors, your emotional energy. Stop providing the service, and suddenly the friendship has technical difficulties. Sometimes it's partly your fault. Not because people were right to use you, but because you trained them to expect unlimited access. You said yes when you wanted to say no. You loaned money after they never repaid the first loan. You made their lack of planning your responsibility. Then you became resentful because they kept doing exactly what you taught them they could do. Andre realized he'd been keeping score too. Every favor, every rescue, every late-night call. Deep down, he expected those favors to come back someday. But kindness with a secret invoice attached isn't really free. So Andre changed the rules. He didn't post, "New year, new me, cutting everybody off." Nothing says emotional stability like announcing a mass friendship termination on Facebook. He just started saying, "No." "Can you lend me $500? No. "Can you come get me? Not tonight. "Can I vent for 3 hours about the person you told me to leave 8 times? Actually, no." And something fascinating happened. Some people got angry, not because Andre became cruel, because access had changed. Pay attention when somebody gets mad at your boundary. Sometimes they're not upset because it's unfair. They're upset
because the old version of you benefited them. Andre lost a few friendships. Then he noticed how peaceful his phone became. Fewer emergencies, less drama, more time. And the people who stayed? They adjusted. They called when they didn't need something, asked how he was doing, helped when he struggled. The friendship stopped feeling like customer service. Andre eventually got another job. Then, one day, an old friend called. The same guy who couldn't give him a ride because he'd already changed into pajamas. He needed to borrow money. Andre listened, then said, "I can't do that." The friend got quiet, then said, "Man, you've changed." Andre smiled, because for once, that wasn't an insult. Sometimes changing means becoming less convenient, less available, less willing to set yourself on fire so everybody else can stay warm. That doesn't make you selfish. It means your life belongs to you too. Help people, be generous, show up. But watch who only recognizes your value when you're useful. Because people who truly care about you won't just ask, "What can you do for me?" Sometimes they'll call for no reason at all, except to make sure you're okay.
Andre thought setting boundaries was the hard part. It wasn't. The hard part was realizing how many people only liked him when he had none. At first, saying no felt wrong, because after years of being dependable, people don't just get used to your help. You get used to being needed. That was Andre's next problem. He had built part of his identity around being useful. If somebody needed him, he mattered. If nobody called, he felt strangely empty. And that's when he admitted something uncomfortable. Sometimes, he wasn't helping because he wanted to. Sometimes, being needed made him feel valuable. Now, this wasn't just about bad friends. It was about him, too. There's a difference between generosity and needing to be the hero. The hero says, "I'll handle it," even when he's exhausted, even when helping creates a bigger mess. Some people don't have boundaries. They have a cape, then wonder why they're tired. Andre started noticing it everywhere. His sister complained about money. His first instinct? Offer cash. A friend hated his job. Andre searched openings. Somebody was upset? Andre became therapist, coach, Uber driver, and emergency management. Then his sister asked, "Why do you always try to fix everything?" Andre laughed, then realized she wasn't joking. Not everybody who tells you a problem is handing you an assignment. Sometimes people just want to be heard, and sometimes their problem needs to stay their problem. Because if you rescue people from every consequence, you may be helping them stay exactly the same. That friend who never budgets? Maybe another loan isn't helping. That person who keeps going back to the same toxic relationship? Maybe your 9th emergency call isn't changing anything. That coworker who always waits until the deadline? Maybe covering for them again teaches the wrong lesson.
Helping becomes enabling when your support removes every reason to change. Andre didn't become cold. He became intentional. Instead of asking, "How do I fix this?" he started asking, "Do they need my help? Or am I uncomfortable watching them struggle?" One friend called with another crisis. Same story, same terrible decisions. Andre listened, then asked, "What are you going to do about it?" Silence. The friend said, "I don't know. That's why I called you." Andre replied, "I'll help you think through it, but I can't keep solving it for you." You'd think Andre canceled Christmas. The friend said, "Man, you used to be more supportive." There it was again. You've changed. And Andre finally understood what that can mean. You stopped playing the role I assigned you. But not every complaint about boundaries is wrong. Sometimes people use boundaries as an excuse to become selfish. "I'm protecting my peace" can become a fancy way of saying, "I only care when it's convenient." That's not growth either. Andre learned balance. If his mother genuinely needed help, he showed up. If a close friend had a real emergency, he was there. But somebody creating the same preventable disaster every weekend? Different conversation. A boundary isn't, "I never help anybody." It's, "My help has limits." And something surprising happened. Once Andre stopped rescuing everyone else, he finally had energy for his own life. He saved more money, went back to the gym, finished a certification he'd delayed for 2 years. Not because boundaries magically fixed everything, because saying no created space. Every yes costs something: time, money, energy, attention. Sometimes what you're saying no to isn't bad, it's just taking resources from something more important. Andre used to say yes to everybody else, then give himself whatever was left. Usually, nothing. Now, his bills came first. Sleep mattered. His goals mattered. His time mattered. And the people who truly cared, they respected it. Months later, Chris, the coworker who helped Andre find work, called. Andre assumed he needed something. Chris said, "Nothing's wrong. I just wanted to see how the new job was going." That hit Andre harder than expected. No emergency, no favor, no request. Just, "How are you?" That's when Andre understood the difference. Being needed feels important. Being valued feels safe. One says, "I need what you provide." The other says, "I care whether you're okay, even when you have nothing to give me." And once you learn that difference, you start hearing your phone ring very differently.